Today we're going to be reviewing the Z-Edge dashcam model number T4. This dashcam features a front-facing camera as well as a rear-facing camera. Both cameras feature a 155-degree wide-angle lens. The front-facing camera has a max resolution of 2560 by 1440p at 30 frames per second, or you can do 1920 by 1080p at 60 frames per second. The rear-facing camera has a max resolution of 1920 by 1080p at 30 frames per second. The dashcam features a touchscreen 4-inch display. The dashcam features night mode, and it also has a G sensor to be able to detect vibrations such as an impact from another car. It has loop recording and also wide dynamic range to be able to help during night recordings. With that being said, let's go ahead and run that intro video and jump right into the unboxing. Hey there, my name is Adrian with ProjectRamos.com and dealsbypr.com. On this channel I do tech reviews, so if you're new here, consider subscribing. Here is the dash cam. Touchscreen display in the back. We get the USB port here. Looks like a camera link cable port here. And on the side we get the slot for the micro SD card and a power button there. Inside the box we get a micro USB to USB-A cable. We get a windshield mount for the dash cam. We get another micro USB to USB-A cable, and we get another looks like USB to USB cable. It looks like this cable is going to be the one that is going to be used to wire the rear camera. We get a spudger to be able to help us tuck the wires in the interior of our car. Here is the rear camera. Comes with adhesive. And here is the cigarette lighter power supply. We'll get some more adhesive mounts for the to manage the cabling. And we get a 32 gig micro SD card. Looks like some more pieces to be able to make some camera adjustments. We get the user's manual and a thank you card from the manufacturer. So that's going to do it for the contents of the box. We're going to quickly go over the setup process of this dash cam. So on top of the dash cam, you can see there's a slot here, and that's where this mount goes onto the windshield mount. So all you got to do is just drop that right into the slot, and then once it's in there, you slide it over into place. So once it's into place, now this is ready to mount onto your windshield. So that's ready to go. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to plug the camera into power. And the power port is found up here, labeled USB. So you can tell it's a micro USB connection. And I've got the micro USB cable plugged into a wall adapter for this demonstration. So we're just going to take this and plug it right into the camera. And we are now plugged in, and as we can tell, the camera is now powered on. So we're going to go ahead and take this protective piece off of here, and it is now asking us a question about, it says system initialize, so we're going to say yes, and we are going to pick English, and we need to set the date and time. So the day is, let's go with the 22nd. Let's say June 2019, and we'll quickly set the time here. Okay, now we're just going to hit OK. And it's asking us to insert the SD card, so we are going to quickly get the SD card here. And the SD card goes on the side here. So now I'm just going to take the SD card, put it into place, and it's going to click, which it just clicked. So we'll put the protective cover back on. Okay, so it looks like the camera shut off when we plugged in the SD card. So I'm going to use the power button here to turn it back on. Okay, so the dash cam is back on now. And as soon as the dash cam turns on, as you can tell, it begins to record. And we get some information up here. We get the date, the time. It shows that we're plugged into power and that it's picking up the microphone here. So it is touch screen. So as soon as we touch the screen, we get presented with these controls here. This is going to give us the menu to be able to choose what mode that we want to be recording in. So it's either the drive mode, scenic mode, park mode, or wide dynamic range mode. And we can pause the recording right now. We can lock the recording. What that does is that if something happens and you want to make sure that the video that it captured is not lost, then you can simply hit the lock button there, and it will save, or it will protect that video so that it doesn't get overwritten. You can turn the microphone on and off here. You could take a snapshot of what the camera is looking at if you want to take a quick picture. And this button here turns the display on and off, so you can shut off the display, bring the display back on by simply just tapping on the screen. This button here is going to bring up more settings here. So we can change the video resolution, we can change the duration of the loop recording, we can play back recorded video here, we can photo capture, we can also manually start the recording process, and if we hit the settings button, we can get more in detail as far as what we can set here. We have date and time. The parking mode, we can there's some settings here that we can turn on and off for the parking mode. The frequency, it could either do 60 hertz or 50 hertz. Date stamp, we can set the auto off to 1 minute, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. Right now it's set to off. Driver ID, we can turn that on and put the your name in here. So if we can set my name and hit return. So now the driver ID is on. And this is for, there's 3 pages of menus here. So if we go to page 2, we can set the exposure, format the SD card, set the sensitivity of the G sensor, the key tone, turn that on and off, and choose your language, logo stamp, if you want the logo stamp, the Z Edge logo stamp to be on the video or not. And the last menu is a startup chime. You can turn that on and off. There's a screen auto off that you can set. Motion detection, you can set this to on and off. You can check the version of the software here. You can get back to the default factory default settings by choosing this option here, and you can also change the theme to a dark theme. So that is it for the settings there. And right now, as I said, you know, the camera begins to record as soon as you're in this screen here. So you can just pause that recording real quick, and as you can tell, it's no longer recording. So you can manually start it up again by hitting that button, and you can tell that it began to record. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to power off the camera, and we're going to plug in the rear camera and see how that works in this dash cam window here. We're going to plug in one end to the rear facing camera, and we're going to plug the other end into our camera here, and as you can tell, there's a slot for it right up on top. So just going to take our cable, plug that in right there. So now we have the rear facing camera plugged in. Now we're going to power on our camera again. Okay, so now that it detected that the rear facing camera is plugged in, it is now presenting us with a picture-in-picture view. So the main view is going to be the main camera, and then the picture-in-picture is going to be the rear camera. And you can switch between the two cameras. So I can simply hit this button here, and let's look at the front camera only, which that's what it's showing us right now. Hit that button again. Let's just look at the rear camera, which that's what it's showing right now. Okay, and then we hit that button again, and we can do a dual picture-in-picture. So we get the rear camera here and the front camera here. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get this installed in our car, and we're going to get some sample footage during the day and also sample footage at night. Now that we've had a chance to unbox, set up, and test the Z-Edge T4 dash cam, let's go over our final thoughts of this device. Let's talk about the construction and design of this dash cam. Overall, I think this dash cam does feel like a premium product. It's made out of plastic. Both the front camera and dash cam and the rear camera are made out of plastic, but it feels like a premium product. Design-wise, I really like the fact that the dash cam has the 4-inch touch display, so all of your controls are going to be able to be managed using the touch display. So I really like that feature of this dash cam, and I really like the design on the lenses on the cameras that are built into the rear and the front of the dash cam, because it has a real nice 155-degree angle, so it's going to be able to capture quite a bit of image that's in front of you and behind you, which is important for a dash cam. So overall, the design and construction of this dash cam, I think it feels very premium. I think it's done very well. Overall, I do like the construction and design of this dash cam. Let's talk about the setup and operation of this dash cam. As you were able to see in our demonstration, the setup process is very straightforward. It's very easy to do. Even if you don't set anything up, the camera is already ready to go right out of the box. As soon as it detects that it has power, it's going to begin the loop recording. And I believe the default is about 3 minutes. So even if you set nothing up, at minimum just set up the date and time, the dash cam is already going to be ready to go as long as you have the SD card installed into the dash cam. It's ready to go right out of the box. So setup process is very easy. So if you want to customize the default settings, then it's very easy to do. In our demonstration, you were able to see all the different menu options that you get, all the different options that you get for recording during operation. So the operation of this dash cam is very simple. It's already ready to go. And the fact that you can further customize some of the options that you get with this dash cam is a major plus. So overall, the setup and operation of this dash cam, I think, is very easy and very straightforward. Now let's talk about the options that you get with this dash cam. You're able to really control almost every setting in this dash cam. You're able to control the loop recording from 1 minute to 3 minute to 5 minute loops. You're able to set up the dash cam. The default is for it to only record while you're driving, but you can override that default and have it continue recording while you're parked. Now the only caveat there is that you're going to have to plug this dash cam into either a cigarette lighter that does not turn off, or buy a wiring kit that you're going to be able to wire into your car that has constant power. So if your cigarette lighter does not provide constant power, you know, even when the car is off, then you're going to have to buy a wiring kit that you can wire this dash cam into a source that does not shut off when the car turns off. So if you're able to do that, then the option that you get is to be able to have the dash cam continue recording even when the car is off. And the other option that you get is to set up the dash cam. It does have a battery built in. The charge on the battery doesn't last very long, but you do have the option to enable the G sensor, which is a vibration sensor, and you're able to also enable a motion sensor. So what it'll do is it will record if it detects any motion, or it'll begin recording if it detects a vibration hard enough to trigger the G sensor. So the idea is that if a car hits your car while you're parked, the G sensor is going to trigger the recording on the dash cam so that you can see what's going on. And it triggers the recording on both the front and rear camera, so you're going to be able to see all around your car. And the fact that you have those options is it's a really big plus for this dash cam. The other options that you get is the wide dynamic range, which helps during night recording, because during night recording you're going to get areas that get really bright, and you're going to get areas that get really dark. The wide dynamic range option allows to compensate for those times when something's either really bright or really dark. So if you find that the footage is not easily. Let's talk about the construction and design of this dash cam. The front dash cam and the rear camera are made out of plastic, but they feel very premium. It's built really well. It's got some weight to it. Design wise, I really like the 4-inch display and the fact that it's a touch display. I think overall the design of it is laid out in a way where it's very easy to operate. It's very easy to understand where the controls are, and the fact that you basically have just two controls to deal with. One is the power button and the other is the micro SD slot. Very simple and easy to understand where those are. Up on top you get the two connections, one USB connection for the rear camera, easily seen here by the by this label here, and another one for the power connection here. So very simple setup, very simple layout. Touchscreen provides everything, all the control you're going to need over the software. It does have some weight to it, and it feels like it's a really well built dash cam, and it feels very premium. Now let's talk about the setup and operation of this dash cam. Software wise, this dash cam is already set up with defaults to work right out of the box. All you need to do is set up the date and time and you're good to go. Other than that, the default settings are set so that all you got to do is install this dash cam in your car, supply power to it, and it's already going to be set up to start recording as soon as you turn your car on. So as soon as you start driving, it's already recording, you're good to go. You can get very granular as far as the setup of the software of this dash cam. You can have it do all sorts of things. Everything from setting up a motion sensor so that when you're parked, it'll record if something moves across the field of view of either the front camera or the rear camera. You can set up the G sensor, which is a vibration sensor. So if something hits your car, the dash cam will begin recording because the G sensor will detect the vibration and trigger the recording on the dash cam. You could also get into what is being stamped onto the video. The default is to have the Z Edge logo in the video and your name in the video. But you can go in there and shut those off. So you can get very granular as far as what you want this camera to do. You could also control the loop recording from 1 minute, 3 minute, or 5 minute intervals. You have real simple options, a drive option, a scenic route option, which will extend the loop recording. You have a wide dynamic range option, which helps during the day when it's really bright outside. Wide dynamic range will help improve the picture, and at night, because you have really dark spots, really light spots, wide dynamic range will also help improve the picture at night as well. Other options that you get is you get to set this dash cam for recording when you're parked. So aside from having it trigger either with the motion sensor or the G sensor, you could also have it just continuously record while you're parked. The only caveat there is that you need to make sure that you plug this dash cam into a cigarette lighter that's not going to turn off when you turn your car off. And but other than that, the setup and operation, very simple, very straightforward. The only challenge that you're going to run into, and that has nothing to do with this dash cam in particular, it has everything to do with all dash cams. The biggest challenge you're going to have is routing the cables that you have to route, because with this dash cam you get a power cable and you get a data cable for the rear camera. So you have two cables to deal with. So once you plug the cables in, you're going to have to tuck them into the interior of your car. If you're up to the challenge, it's very simple to do. It's not a big deal, but it does take some time to tuck that wire into the interior of your car. If you're not up for the challenge, just find somebody that knows what they're doing and have them do that for you, or take it to a mechanic shop. A mechanic will be happy to do what he needs to do to be able to route those cables so that they're not hanging out, in the interior of your car. Now, if you do have a cigarette lighter that does shut off when you turn your car off, you're going to have to buy a wiring kit, which, by the way, the wiring kits are very inexpensive. I'll have a link to an Amazon product that I found that is the wiring kit that you would need for what I'm about to explain here. what you're going to need to do is buy the wiring kit and hardwire the dash cam power cable into a power source that is not going to turn off. Now in that scenario, if you know what you're doing there, by all means, take on that challenge. But if you're not sure how to find the power source in your car that doesn't shut off, I don't recommend doing it yourself. Take it to a mechanic shop and let a mechanic do that for you, because a mechanic is qualified to understand the electronics in a car, and they'll be able to route that power cable for you and have it working with no issues there. So if you want this camera to operate while the car is off, and you know that your cigarette lighter shuts off when you turn the power off on your car, then definitely buy that wiring kit and get it hardwired to a power source that's not going to shut off when you turn your car off. Other than that, attaching the front camera to your windshield, with the supplied suction cup, is very simple. That setup is very easy. The rear camera attaches to the back of your window using this adhesive piece. That is very simple to do. Other than installing these cameras, which is very easy to do, the only challenge is the cables. Other than that, setup and operation of the camera, software-wise, and the physical pieces that you need to install in your car, it's fairly simple. And I think you shouldn't have a problem there, other than dealing with the wires. Now let's talk about the options that you get with this dash cam. The default options that are set up right out of the box is for this camera to record when you drive. So when you turn your car on, the camera turns on and it begins recording immediately. The other options that you get is to be able to record while you're parked. And we kind of already talked about that. You're going to need a constant power source, or a power source that's not going to shut off when you turn the car off. The other options that you have is to be able to turn the wide dynamic range. You're going to be able to change the loop recording intervals from 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute. You're going to be able to enable or disable the motion sensor, the G sensor that we already talked about. You're going to be able to also, within the camera while it's operating, set it up to where you're only going to see what the front camera sees, or set it up to you only see what the rear camera sees, or set up picture-in-picture, or just turn off the display altogether while you're driving. You get quite a few options. And it's all controllable with the touchscreen display. Everything's laid out very simple to understand, but I do recommend that you read the instruction book that comes with this dash cam, so you fully understand what every setting does for you inside the dash cam. Now let's talk about what this dash cam is best suited for. I think this dash cam is great to be able to capture video while you're driving. I like the added convenience of being able to record while your car is parked, but I really think this dash cam does really great to be able to record video while you're driving. Where that comes in handy, or where it becomes a key component while you're driving, is during an accident. Nobody wants an accident to happen, but accidents just do happen. They're random. They're gonna happen when we least expect them. In California, if you rear end someone, you're automatically at fault, even if you know that you were not at fault. So let's say a car cuts you off and causes the accident. If you were the one that hit the car, you're the one that rear-ended the car, automatically your insurance company is gonna note you as being at fault, even if you know that you were not at fault. And unless if you have some way to prove that it was not your fault, you're automatically gonna be at fault for that accident. That's where this comes into play. This dash cam, with it recording the entire time while you're driving, you're gonna be able to prove to your insurance company that you were not at fault, or to a police officer, because the dash cam is going to be able to clearly show video footage that someone cut you off and caused the accident. So unless if you have video footage to prove that you're not at fault, you really don't have any other way of getting yourself out of being blamed for an accident that you didn't cause. So for those scenarios, for accident scenarios, I think this dash cam is great for that. And in scenarios where you witness an accident and you know the dash cam caught everything that happened, then as a good Samaritan, you can just provide the footage either to the police officer or the people that were involved in the accident as backup of what exactly happened during that accident. So overall, I think this dash cam really is targeted for those that need peace of mind while they're driving out on the road. And now let's talk about the million-dollar question. Is the Z-Edge T4 dash cam worth your hard-earned money? As of the recording of this review, this dash cam sells for $169.99. I think it's well worth the money. You're getting quite a few options software-wise. You're going to be able to get into this camera, really set it up to have it do what you want it to do at any point in time. The controls are laid out very simple and they're very large. It comes with the touch display, which makes it very simple to operate. Everything's laid out very simple as far as the software goes with this camera. The construction of the camera, I think it's done very well. The quality of the camera, as far as the video, the way it captures during the day and the way it captures during the night, I think it does a very good job there. And overall, at $169.99, I think this camera will pay for itself after one accident. One accident, I think, will immediately pay for this camera. Of course, no one wants to get into an accident. But as I mentioned, you can't prevent accidents from happening. They're called accidents for a reason. They just happen at random. They happen when we least expect them. And to have this camera running, recording everything and capturing everything while you're driving is something that is, invaluable. $169, one accident alone, I think will pay for this. Now let's say you never get into an accident. Well, that's a win-win there. I think even in that scenario, $169 is a small price to pay for either a scenario where you do get into an accident or a scenario where you never get into an accident. And overall, to know that you're capturing while you're driving, you can also help other drivers that might get into an accident and you caught the footage. You can easily just say, hey, I got it all on my dash cam. I can send it to you on email, or I can just give you the memory card on the dash cam and use that as evidence of what happened here. So overall, I think $169.99 is well worth for what this product is going to be able to do for you. This is going to complete my review of the Z-Edge T4 dash cam. If you found some value in this video, I would appreciate it if you were to hit the thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. That way you get notified the next time we upload a new video. And on that note, I will see you on the next review.